up, everybody? How you doing? Go ahead and take a few minutes. Let everybody kind of filter in here. Oh, man. Is that fight still happening, Alex? Yeah, it's it is interesting. There's a lot more data coming out though about the virus that shows that the death count is really, really inflated in Italy. So that'd be interesting to see. Hey Tracy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Is it sunny out there right now? Oh, yep, sure enough it is. So it's been kind of cloudy over here, and I've got construction workers next door digging up plumbing and things like that from the neighbor's house. So it's been an interesting day. Kids are out there watching them dig giant holes and stuff. Oh man. Whew. Midweek. So Monday I actually get to leave the house and go back to work. My boss did say, even though I already told you I wasn't going to go back to work, because my company sent out an email that basically said, you know, if you're on air and you can do it from home, that sort of thing. We're only going to keep 10 people in the building at a time. And then I talked with my boss, and I'm considered essential personnel. And he goes, I would like to have you in studio at least some of the days of the week. So I will likely be back in the radio station next week. Definitely on Monday, because I have some other stuff I got to take care of. But probably a little bit after that as well. Yeah, William went fishing, man. Good for you. Good for you. Did I hear how the hospitalization rate is too good to be true? No, I didn't. You know, the hospital thing has been irritating, and I've kind of talked about the 3D printing bit, and I shared some links yesterday on Discord and social media. Maybe I didn't share them on Discord. Social media about, you know, what 3D printers are doing, and they're printing these parts that are making ventilators work and that sort of stuff. They're also 3D printing face shields and things. Those are all great, okay? And I think it's awesome that everybody who has the ability to mobilize and do that is doing that. But it's also important to note that in large part, we don't need them. And we're getting to a point where people who have the ability, who feel like they need to contribute, are going to take the tools that they have and they're going to make these things in case we do need them. And I think that's cool. But, you know, way more people got sick from many other illnesses, and the hospitals were not overwhelmed. And so the idea that our hospital system was going to get overwhelmed by this just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Obviously, things are really bad in New York, and New York hospitals are doing just fine. LA hospitals also doing fine. So there's going to be some hospitals, obviously, that are more prepared than others. But, you know, the main thing right now, so you've got a bunch of people that are choosing not to stay at home, and they're going out and about and doing things just to keep living their life because they're not really in the target demo. They're not really at risk. The problem with that is it's less about them putting somebody who is in the target demo at risk. It's less about that, but it's more about the more they do that and the more new infections that they get, then the longer we have to stay in our friggin' houses and the economy continues to stall, okay? So it's less about saving you, and I'll probably talk about this on the radio show today. It's less about saving you, and it's less about saving your grandparents or your neighbors or what have you, and it's more about stop causing the spread of this thing so we can get back to doing what we do, which is dominate the global economic sector. And right now, there's just some dumb people that are not allowing that to happen because they're not going to die and that sort of thing. And that's the whole thing that just is frustrating about all of this. Let's see. Well, we should be cutting funding to PBS. That's been a fight that's happened a couple of times. Absolutely. Virus alert, you don't have it? Good for you. I mean, look, the new test is going to be great. You know, the new test is about, you know, I think it's like 45 minutes is the target of what it can get results back in. But obviously they're expecting that there will be a rush of them. So they're saying a couple of hours before you get the results. But the more people that we can test, the more that we can rule out that somebody is actually sick. And then those people, like me, can go back out into the world because we don't have the actual virus, right? And that allows us to be less fearful of who's around us, who might actually have the virus and is spreading it versus just a normal cold. Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and play something for you. So yesterday I played you a Joe Biden soundbite from one of the shows. He was talking to The View, and he made a fool of himself, but Grabian put together a supercut of his appearance on Jake Tapper's show on CNN, The View, and like a couple of others. And I just want you to watch the video. The audio doesn't do it justice. You have to watch the video because this is Joe Biden, who has been in a bunker. He's been hiding and running away from the virus because he's old and frail, and if the virus gets him, he's probably done for. And he has been meeting with his team about all of this, right? And they launched this whole thing to go ahead and make him the voice of reason when it comes to the virus. And then you have this.
Have you been tested for the coronavirus?
No, I have not been tested for the coronavirus. I've had, thank God, no symptoms that I'm aware of. Doesn't mean that that can't happen.
Up for the next round of primaries, including...
I've not talked to any individual. Excuse me.
You know, you're supposed to cough into your elbow. I don't know, sir. I learned that actually covering your White House.
Actually, that's true, but fortunately, I'm alone in my home, but that's okay.
Vice President Biden, thank you so much for your time. Please stay healthy.
For keeping businesses shut.
We have to take care of the cure. That will make the problem worse no matter what.
And what is it like to be a candidate in the time of social distancing?
Well, I'm doing fine, thank you. And I think we've been
public. But first, in this crisis,
I'd like
spoke earlier. He's talking.
And I tell you what, I'm so darn proud. And those poor people who have,
oh my God,
lost. Anyway, it's just. My heart goes out to
No. Listen, we're to make a choice about who leads this country.
I just can't figure the guy. It's like I don't know. It's like watching a yo-yo. I shouldn't have said it that way. It's like watching.
It feels that way. I want to ask.
Her job is to help
about the reporting in the New York Floyd to Home Alone with children.
Why doesn't he just act like a president? That's a stupid way to say it.
You know, Donald Trump was asked.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I probably best I don't.
Okay, so that was Joe Biden all day yesterday. Okay, and like I said, I played you one of those sound bites yesterday where he's like, we got to take care of the cure, and that's going to cause problems, whatever the hell he said, and. Yeah, the entire media day that he was going, he was breaking all of the rules, doing all it. Jake Tapper legitimately looked disgusted. Okay, he actually looked grossed out and disgusted. And well, I'm alone in my house. No, you're not. You didn't set up the lights. You didn't set up the internet feed. You didn't set up the webcam and the audio and all that. Joe Biden doesn't know how to text message anybody. Joe Biden definitely didn't set up all of the media stuff in his damn house. So he's not alone in his house. Not at all. Plus, he is married, last I heard. And I don't know, his wife is not with him. So I'm alone in my house. Whatever. It's okay if I cough all over everything. Screw everybody else who comes over to my place. It's just, again, I want to kind of paraphrase, if you will, Tim Pool. He clearly cannot be president. There's just no way that Joe Biden can be president. He is so utterly clueless on all of this. And I've been covering a lot with the media on this. And I know that a lot of people basically been doing they've been giving you the updates on what has been happening with the virus and all of that. And I've been covering a lot of the media reaction because so much of what the media has been saying has been inaccurate. And it's leading to panic. I mean, it's causing people to freak out, and that's what's causing problems with all of this. So MSNBC has retracted a tweet claiming host Chris Hayes said coronavirus could kill half of the population. So MSNBC retracted a tweet on Tuesday, this is the Daily Caller, that falsely claimed host Chris Hayes said the novel coronavirus could kill 50% of the population. The original tweet claimed that Hayes said, there is no option to just let everyone go back out and go back to normal if a pandemic rages across the country and kills 50% of the population. That's what was tweeted out on Monday. It was deleted on Tuesday. The quote tweeted is incorrect due to an editing error. MSNBC's Twitter noted in its new tweet, the tweet now correctly displays what Hayes said during All In with Chris Hayes, which, by the way, is a really dumb program. which says that the pandemic could infect 50% of the population, not kill it. So MSNBC just has this really bad problem on their social media of fact-checking even their own people. Chris Hayes didn't say that. And again, I'm in the unenviable position of defending the guy because he's rarely worth defending, but he didn't say that the virus is going to kill half the population. He did say it could infect half of the population, which is still unlikely, by the way. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, he is an F-tard, Speed, without a doubt. What's David doing? Sorry if you hear my dog. Yeah, I heard a bunch of toilet paper at Walmart too, and they're limiting you to 1 gallon of milk, 1 gallon of water, 1 dozen eggs. So I know that there's some things that what they're doing is they're we had the wife out at Walmart today. She had toilet papers everywhere. So tons of toilet paper at Walmart, at least in Elkhart. So I would assume that it's probably that way now. The supply chain is working and they're limiting how many quantities you can buy of certain things, so they're not running out of those essentials. Ooh, excuse me. Damn. Can they test for who already had it and is recovered for weeks after? That's a great question because nobody seems to agree on whether or not you can get the virus again. I read an article about this the other day, and there still seems to be some information that that you can get it a second time. So the problem is that if you test negative, you can still get it. And so you also can't run around and just automatically assume that you're invincible because you tested negative. So those are things that are going to have to be addressed as well. All right. Well, he is a throwaway candidate, Susie. And that's kind of what I was talking about before, and I think other people have picked up on. I've heard Rush talk about it as well, is that, even going back when I said, look, Joe Biden is unlikely to be the nominee, but, early on I was telling you don't discount him because there's always the possibility of the establishment wanting a Joe Biden. They wanted Joe Biden because they're probably going to run things, and Joe Biden's going to be a figurehead. And that seems to be kind of what is happening now. And, look, there are Republicans. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog. He is going nuts over those construction workers next door. And I think that the wife took the kids to the park up the road. So Joe Biden is, there's Republicans. Let me start over. There's Republicans who are professional opposition, okay? So they make their living, they make their fame, their notoriety when Republicans lose. And they pretend to be Republicans, they pretend to be conservatives, but they don't actually advance conservatism or republicanism. They don't want to advance it, so they kind of sabotage it. And the reason that they sabotage it is if they're not in power, they make more money. They have more readers, they have more listeners, they have more viewers, they have more subscribers, more people paying them because they're not in power, and so there's something for them to always go after and attack. There's a lot of conservatives in the new media that do that, right? And it irritates me. I've talked about this for years. They are professional conservatives. They're not real conservatives. They're not authentic. Their entire world revolves around them making money by not being in power. And the Democrats have that opportunity. So if you lose, you get to fundraise for 4 years. You get to whip up the base for 4 more years, get a clean slate, and hopefully it pays off for you in the end. So that becomes the political strategy, if you will, which is a political strategy that is used by both parties and has been effective in the past. Let's see. Yeah, no cryptic messages here. Just need a haircut. Can't get a haircut, so might end up shaving my damn head while I'm here. Who knows? I don't have a proper shaver to do it, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, there seems to be conflicting information. I just don't think that they know enough about what can happen with the virus with somebody who has been infected. So, yeah, the LA mayor is citing CDC studies as a reason to close gun stores. And Alex posted a really good video with Colin Noir, who's ripping on this. I mean, if there's ever a better example of beta male, I don't know, man. This guy was a total beta male. And I keep hearing the anti-gun crowd tell everybody that there's been slacking gun sales over the past couple of years. No, there hasn't. I actually did that in the Fake News Flash. We had a record year last year for gun sales. The year before that was a record. There's no lacking in gun sales. That's not happening at all. But they keep saying it because it sounds good. Like, oh, why do the gun groups keep doing this stuff? Because, oh, they're not selling as much. So they gotta whip everybody up into a frenzy. It's all untrue. But that's a really good video. You should watch it. It's on the general channel on the Discord server for those of you who are members of Discord. Come to your house, you'll give me a haircut. Yeah, well, I got to wait till I'm out of isolation, I guess, Susie. I appreciate it. Thank you much. We've got a girl in the office who does it as well. And I might just go to this studio one day early and just have her go ahead and cut my hair for me in the studio. Who knows? Let's see. Oh, China. So China sent 150,000 Wuhan virus testing kits to Prague. Okay? Now, cool, right? Thank you for doing that. The problem is that 80% of the tests that they sent to Prague failed. 80% failure rate. Wow. So we've got reports about inflated death rates, especially in Italy. And I wouldn't be surprised if we end up learning that this virus really is a fraction of what we thought it was, okay? I wouldn't be surprised. But you gotta be cautious. So it's one of those things where you gotta be cautious. You gotta, right now, like I said, think of it less as, when you isolate yourself, think of it less about saving your neighbors and saving yourself. Think of it more as, okay, if people stop getting the virus, even though they'll probably be okay, if they stop getting the virus, then we can all go back to work. We can go get society back to normal again, and then our 401ks can grow and all of that good stuff. Although my 401k is doing okay, actually. I lost like $2,000. But overall, I'm still up for the year, still doing all right. Now, that may change since the Democrats in the House decided not to address the Senate bill. So we'll talk about this on the radio show today, too, at 3 o'clock. So Nancy Pelosi basically acquiesces yesterday and says, all right, we'll take up the Senate bill and I'll stop doing my partisan thing that I'm doing with my bill. And they come in and they were there for, was it 2 minutes? It was like 2 minutes that they were there today. And they just turned around and said, yeah, we're not gonna deal with it later. Bye. So the stock market went up yesterday. And now it went down again. So it's almost every time the Democrats do something like this, and it's a stunt, every single time, it is on the heels of a positive gain in the economy. So they're constantly maneuvering to sabotage the economy in order to sink it. And I think they're stuck. They don't know what to do. Because if they do anything, the president gets credit for it right now. And if the economy comes back, then the Democrats have lost all the ground that they have gained in destroying the economy. So it ends up being one of those things. Oh, by the way, I just started vaping my CBD again. My back, I threw it out yesterday doing the show. And there's something about this chair, man. I can't sit in this chair for a long period of time. I don't know what it is. So there's the... I look so weird doing it. I'm like looking at myself in the thing. But so this has been helping me with my back. So I'm going to bring this up because never let a crisis go to waste. Don't doubt me on this. They will come for vaping devices in the midst of this virus, okay? They will. And they're already coming for tobacco in New York. It's already happening. So New York physicians have urged the governor to ban tobacco in order to fight coronavirus. So they will go after vaping devices. They will do anything they can to go ahead and make it all about coronavirus. And we're going to take away this. We're going to take away that. If Bloomberg was still mayor of New York City, he would use it as a justifiable excuse to get rid of large sodas again, in spite of the court rulings on that. They're going to come for everything that they possibly can. They're just going to use the crisis to advance their agenda and their narratives. Period. Let's see. I don't know if it's just a meme or a joke, but I saw stuff about having to shave off my beard to keep safe from corona. That was, I actually talked about this like 2 months ago, dude. Yeah, there was a movement to go ahead and shave your beard off to protect you against corona because your respirators and things like that would seal better on the face and all of that stuff. But there's this anti-beard thing. I'm pretty sure that it was, I think that was a Coffee with Casey thing. And I lightened it up a little bit, but... Is that who that guy is? Igor Volsky? I don't know who he is. But total beta male. I mean, just... I know it's a term that got thrown around a whole lot, but holy crap. They're trying, Stymie, they're trying to be an anti-gun crowd. The leftists keep trying to buy guns, and they're realizing, oh, it's not as easy as our anti-gun activists told us it was going to be. Do you remember me telling you the story a couple of years ago? I was in Midwest Gun Exchange, and because I'm a dealer for them, and there was a black lady that was there, and she was trying to buy a gun, okay? It was her first gun. Now, this was during the Obama presidency. I don't remember what was going on. Something was happening, and she was there to buy a handgun. And they ran the background check, and the background check came back inconclusive, right? So they had to continue to do the process. So they can't give her the gun that day. She starts wigging out. She immediately starts making the accusations that it's a racist thing. She doesn't overtly say it. She insinuates it, right? And I'm behind her in line just waiting to check out. She kind of turns to me and she's like, isn't that seem wrong to you that they're doing that? So I had to explain to her how the background check process works, how it had been changed in recent years. And I looked at her, I said, look, to be perfectly honest with you, the guy in the White House right now is not sympathetic to your situation. He wants to actually decrease the likelihood of you walking out of here with a firearm the same day that you buy it. And she looked at me, she goes, really? I was like, yeah. And I point blank said, elections have consequences. She's like, I didn't know any of that. Like, I know, most people don't. But it comes to a point where you finally end up needing something, like all these leftists going out there trying to buy guns and ammo and things like that now. And they're realizing that it's not the easy, simple process that they were told it was. And it is much more involved. But that's what happens when you have a bunch of people who don't know anything about buying firearms. They don't know anything about shooting them, handling them. They don't know anything about ballistics or any of that stuff. They're completely ignorant of it, and they don't know what they're talking about. And that's why we constantly make fun of them every time they try to make an anti-gun statement, because it's so absurdly inaccurate and unscientific. Market is still up 5.5% today. It took a dip early on. I haven't been paying attention to it. I had to do some stuff for the cars today. Got the cars all running again. So that was my day, getting the vehicles running. A lot of the apartments that China sealed up had dead bodies in them when unsealed from the video I saw. I haven't seen that video. This is another thing that has to be considered with the China situation, is that a lot of dissidents were probably killed by the Chinese at the time. You know, the Chinese probably saw the opportunity to go after dissidents and they took them out. There's some whistleblowers that are saying that. I mean, obviously I can't verify it, but saw a video of a store being looted. Everything was in Spanish, I think. I wouldn't be surprised. Thought about thinning the beard. I've had it for so long. Well, I mean, look, if you're going to need to wear a respirator, you need to have a good seal. If you're not going to wear a respirator, I wouldn't worry about it right now, right? So it just depends on what your situation is, man. If you're wearing a mask and you need a better seal around your face, yeah, probably a good idea to thin it out or get rid of it, at least in some parts. If you're not, what benefit is it? You know, the virus isn't going to be more likely to infect you because you have a beard. It's really all about the respirator and everything. Yeah, and I agree with that. I've said that before, and there's some gun shops across the country that do that, Alex, where if you're a new gun owner, you have that class. And there's a gun shop in Las Vegas. God, I forget the name of it. What was it called? It might have been the Gun Store, which is next to the Leatherneck Club. And I'm like one of the only Army guys that got to go into the Leatherneck Club. One, because of who I was in radio, and And two, because like Richard Marcinko would be there on a regular basis, and he and I knew each other. So, but I would be at the Leatherneck Club, and I'm pretty sure it's the gun store in Las Vegas. I think it's on Flamingo. So anyway, don't quote me on all of that. It's been a while, and they offered a class to my wife for buying a gun there, and she took it, and it was it was great. It's not something that she had to do. It wasn't required, but it was something that they offered, and it was a great choice, without a doubt. Somebody who hadn't carried a firearm before, she was new to firearms. It was a very great class, without a doubt. Toilet paper is the new 22 LR. You know what? My daughter has been begging me for one of those toilet paper spit wad guns. The toilet paper gun. She wanted one for Christmas so bad. It was just too expensive for what it was. And I wouldn't mind her having one for outside, and I came so close to getting it, but it was like $30 or something. I'm like, nah, I'm not getting that. It's too much money. Man, that can you imagine how that would go over now? China is asshole. God, I love that line. And it's funnier when Alex says that and somebody doesn't get it. Because, and not that I'm being a jerk to the people who don't get it, it's just hysterical. Let's see. Is it American Shooters? That might be it. Yeah, so where's the gun store at, Nate? Because God, it's like for some reason. You have to understand something. So like Vegas is my hometown, right? And moved away 9 years ago. And I came to Mishawaka. I know Steve Sisolak, the governor. I know him. Now, Steve Sisolak was a local politician forever. He is a piece of shit, okay? He's an absolute piece of shit. Now, I've run into a lot of politicians that I don't like, I don't really care for, or I just disagree with their policies and things like that. In Las Vegas, there's a lot of politicians that are genuinely awful human beings. Harry Reid is at the top of that list. He is a terrible person. He's not nice. He's not pleasant. He's not honest. He's not a good human being away from politics. Steve Sisolak's also an asshole. Okay? That's just who he is. He's always been that way. He's always been an asshole. And when Steve Sisolak got elected as governor, I sent out a message to all of my family and friends. I was like, my condolences, because he's such a piece of crap. And here is Steve Sisolak, the governor of Nevada, Democrat, of course, and he's banned the state. I don't think he has the legal authority to do this. I'm sure it'll get challenged in court, but he banned the state from allowing any doctor to prescribe the anti-malarial and the Z-Pak stack, which is working on the coronavirus. There's a doctor in New York who's treated 350 coronavirus patients, 100% success rate with the malaria drugs, the anti-malarial drugs with the Z-Pak. Okay? So that appears to be the treatment going forward. He's 350 cases, 100% success rate. And here's Steve Sisolak. There's no evidence that it works. Bull. And he just bans it. And I don't think the governor has the authority to do that, but that's what he did. It's there's a couple of people on the board right now on the live stream who are from Las Vegas. You ask them about Steve Sisolak, they got stories. Yeah, American Shooters. Okay, Barry. All right, so we got a couple of you out there confirming that. All right, so I think it's American Shooters that she went to. Okay, so I was just getting my locations messed up. I think it was American Shooters that she went to because it was next to the Leatherneck Club. All right, so I had gun store in Flamingo right. I just had the Leatherneck Club wrong. Let's see. Oh, I've got 100 messages today. Yay! I win nothing. See? Nate will confirm. He is a piece of shite. So, Frank, the mob, they really don't. Vegas was a really cool city when the mob ran things. And when the mob left, there was this huge power vacuum that ended up happening, and that's where you had the huge gang warfare that happened. For many years, most of the years when I was growing up, Las Vegas was the most violent city in the United States. It had a lot to do with gangs. There was a period of time where the Los Angeles gangs tried to invade the Las Vegas territory. So Las Vegas gangs and LA gangs were fighting it out in the streets and stuff like that. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. And it's one of the reasons that, police units like the Nasty Boys and Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department started militarizing, is because they had to fight that. So when the mob left, there was this huge power vacuum and all these other criminal elements came in there. And, the mob has their problems, obviously, but the mob at the end of the day, they're business people. And they took care of the city. So there is still mob presence there. It's just not quite what it is. But they do still have some influence in some businesses, sure. What is wrong with Sisolak? He's Steve Sisolak. And I know that doesn't mean anything to you, Tracy, but for people in Nevada, it means a lot. Because the idea that Steve Sisolak was elected governor could only happen if the people voting were not from the state of Nevada. They were people from California, Illinois, and Washington State. Those are the people that have been ruining my home state of Nevada for years. And Steve Sisolak was universally known as the pile of shit that he is. And all of these people who had no idea who he was, oh, he's a Democrat, he's Steve Sisolak, oh, we'll vote for him. They outnumber the locals now, so. You're damn right. And you know what's interesting? Yeah, so comment, he will be able to get the drugs on his own, because that'll happen, right? And what's interesting is that Dr. Fauci has said he would absolutely prescribe the hydrochloroquine and the Z-Pak. He just said that today. He's like, I would absolutely prescribe it. And he's the one that's been telling everybody, we still don't know conclusively if it works, right? So we have a lot of anecdotal evidence, but the anecdotal evidence is thousands of people cured with the stuff and 3 international studies. That's anecdotal, okay? But if you don't have, so this is what's interesting about this. You've got thousands of people that have been cured by using these drugs. You've got 3 international studies that say that these drugs are effective in treating and curing coronavirus, and they're calling it anecdotal evidence. There is 0 research to show that vaping is bad for you. 0. And they are out there trying to tell you with government regulations and legislation and everything else that vaping should be banned, restricted because it's unhealthy. Isn't that interesting? And then don't even get me started on global warming. There isn't any studies that prove man-made global warming either. It's still just an unproven theory. But they tell you the science is settled even though there isn't any actual science behind it. Yeah, the green machine. Look, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, I have a lot of friends on that department, but that is the one police department that I am genuinely afraid of. Genuinely afraid of. I've watched them get away with way too damn much. Way too much. Yeah, so you want a stimulus for your timeshares? Good luck with that. I want to ask this though. It's like I moved recently and my taxes haven't been filed yet. How does the government know where I live to send my damn check? Are they going to send it to my previous address and then it's going to get lost? I'm kind of curious about that. What about, how are they going to ensure that they get it to the right person? So I don't quite know how that's going to work out. Because if they're going to use your previous year's IRS records, that's not going to work for millions of people. I'm going to go over today, Speed. I'm going to go over the $2 trillion bill from the Senate side of things. Nancy Pelosi's bill got pushed aside, okay? She finally acquiesced yesterday. But there are some things that have to be addressed with the Senate bill. But the Senate bill was always a bipartisan agreement. So I'll go over some of the stuff that we have in that bill today, even though the House of Representatives is not going to take it up today at all. Because, screw you. The Democrats in the House don't give a damn. They're all about destroying the economy, using you as political football, not getting you what you need to go ahead and recover. There's no other explanation, people. There's no other explanation, because even if it's not a perfect piece of legislation, people are hurting. You do what the best you can get done at this point to offer relief, and then you address it in a separate bill. This is the 3rd relief package, okay? They passed 1, they passed 2. This is the 3rd one. So you can do a third one, get a lot of what you want, help people out now, and then come back for a fourth package and try and address the things that you wanted to get addressed later on down the line. Nancy Pelosi chose to politicize it and hurt people by delaying all of this. Like I said, by the time that this happens, it's going to be 1 to 2 weeks later that Americans start getting checks and that businesses start getting those loans. So all because the Democrats in the House of Representatives delayed all of this. And here's the thing, Comet, that may very well happen. We might have some long-term damage because of it. And now you have to pick your poison. You take the long-term damage because of a stimulus, but you provide relief for people now, or do you take the short-term damage by not providing relief and then still potentially have long-term damage because of the situation as it drags on? So you have to pick your poison pill. It really is picking your poison at that point. I'm generally against stimuluses for that reason, but I think that the Republican proposal on this is probably the least damaging of the options. So, we'll see. We'll totally see. But, if I were in Congress, I would be voting for it. And I would still be cautioning against it. And I would be cautioning against getting it too out of control. But my fear is that if you don't do something now to provide that relief, what's going to end up happening is businesses will close, people will be laid off. That causes a huge problem long term. And then we're going to have those situations that are you're going to have a short-term problem and a long-term problem. Whereas if you pass the stimulus now, you may only have a long-term problem. And it may not be as bad as it would have been. So it all depends on how it shakes out, to be perfectly honest with you, in unforeseen events, but that's just my thoughts. But you're right. Generally, stimuluses are bad for the economy. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, Stymie, because the Democrats are trying to make sure that none of Trump's businesses get any stimulus cash. And the only thing I could think of is, did they do the same thing for every member of Congress who has a business? Because lots of members of Congress have businesses. And were they denied any relief and stimulus funds too? Or is it just the president? Now, I'm okay if you say that the president's businesses can't get it and also no member of Congress's businesses can get it. I'm okay with that if you wanted to make it that way. But if only the president's businesses can't get it, but Congress's can, that's wrong. All right, so I got to bounce out of here because I've got like 10 minutes before the radio show. So once again, subscribe if you haven't done it. If you have Amazon Prime, if you could link it up with Twitch Prime, that would be great. And then subscribe to my channel on Twitch. I am going to be setting up some contests here soon. So again, just be patient. That stuff's coming. We'll give away some novelty toilet paper and some other stuff, some swag and things like that. So that's all coming, okay? And again, just hey, keep supporting the channel. I appreciate you guys showing up every day at 2 o'clock. I appreciate you listening to the radio show on 95.3 MNC. I got a lot of not coronavirus